try!
Cool. We might get you on those changes first. What was the thinking resting those lads? Management for the tour?
Well, we've looked at the whole season's load so far, and also the I suppose the load of players in a certain block. There's probably a few other players that could have played, maybe Marika. They might still, depending on what happens in the week. All the players that aren't playing will be in camp, doing training to prepare for the tour as well. They might get an extra day's break, but that's about it. Just to work on themselves a little bit, and just looked at the loads, and that's why guys I suppose Dempsey, and then with Israel I decided to play him because I've decided with Israel he won't be going on the tour at the end of the year. He had in his contract the ability to take a Japan leg if he wanted to in this season, and we discussed it and we thought it might be better for him to have a break, come back fresh next year. So because he won't be going for the tour, he'll be playing as well.
Well, okay.
He's not coming on the tour.
But he's not going to play in Japan either.
No, that was the quid pro quo, I suppose. That I think he's played a lot of footy. He's been doing so well, and I think it's just a good opportunity. I would prefer him to have that break than to go than to have gone there, and I think it's a good balance for all of us.
So how did he leave that discussion in terms of feeling like he wanted a break?
No, he's good as gold. We just discussed it and went from there.
He was potentially going to get a try scoring record there. He was going for the world record of 17, but
we're not doing things for that. He's definitely not that type of guy either. But I don't want it's not. I know you'll make out like it's something special in particular, but reality is that we've got to it's part of building our depth as well, is to get other players to take responsibility there, and without him there, and it'll be good for him, and I think a good opportunity for players in that position to fill some of that space.
Are you excited now then by the sort of teams you're going to be rolling out for the next 5 weeks? Like there'll be some real fresh faces, and if he's not playing, then there'll be some blokes in new positions and all that.
I think so, and we've been on I suppose our program over 16 and 17s to try to be building our depth, and this is for me another step in that direction. Obviously, if he wasn't going, if the option to go to Japan wasn't there, and that would have cost him the tour anyway, then he probably would have come. But I think this is a better outcome all around. And so there is a lot of opportunity for other guys, and I think that there's some new guys in the squad for the Barbarians match in particular, and it is a game I'm really looking forward to, because this is going to be an opportunity for a lot of guys who've been training hard, working hard for their teammates, and haven't had the chance to put the jersey on and put their own performances forward, and this is going to be it. And then there might be room for someone, a Bolter or someone like that, to get on the tour.
So is anyone at the front of the line for who's going to be the main guy to take his spot on tour? Like Carmichael, I know you've said is you more as a 12 in this squad. Would you think about pushing him back?
Yeah, I'd have a look at that option. I think that he can do both. We play that in a sort of hybrid version sometimes, where he can, defend, attack in the back, defend in the front, all different things. He brings a big presence there, and he's an experienced player. He's got X factor, and I think he's definitely a player I'll consider for that role, especially where we've got Beale and Hodge who can fill that, and Samu, who's played a bit now in that 12 spot. There's an option there. There's a few other young guys around who could fill that role. We could, there's different options for us around there, Hodge, Beale. So there's a fair few options at fullback. So we'll see how it pans out when we get to the tour, and it'll be a good chance for Izzy to I think take a well-earned. He's been under the microscope every single day since he's come to rugby, every single day, and I think it'd be a chance for him to get out of that for a moment and rest his body, rest his mind, take a well-earned breather, and then get back into it from day one of Super Rugby next year. Good pre-season under his belt, and away he'll go.
Just to clarify, Michael, but I suppose we're all taking it as a bit of a bombshell.
It's not bombshell.
It's not bombshell.
It's a positive. It's a positive. No, but I think I think you got to see from our point of view how we want this to come down. You know what I mean? And we see it as an opportunity for someone, genuinely. Like I could have pushed and tried to get a different outcome, but I think this is for what we're trying to do right now. This is a good outcome for everyone, you know what I mean, around that front, and probably didn't expect it, but when we started to sit down and talk about it, it ended up being the right thing to do.
Yeah, but in that situation, when you're saying he's got, could have activated the Japan segment through.
He had
through
that
his
deal
contract,
in his contract,
but
yeah.
When that was out of the situation, didn't he automatically just go on the tour, or did it come to that point where he said,
No.
Like he could get out?
He has the sequence was this. This was done a while back, obviously. So he was deciding whether he would take up that option in his Japan deal, which would have cost him the tour anyway, because that was always agreed in his revised contract. He didn't take it last year or the year after the World Cup, and because he wanted to have that break there, and I think he's been feeling that as well. So I just, I think it's a good time for him to have some time away from I think a bit of a time away from the spotlight, just sit down and relax. He doesn't get a lot of chance to do that, Izzy, and I respect him a lot as a player and as a person, and I think he's done this, what we've done it together, and he's been really good about managing the whole situation to get the right outcome for himself, and I think in the long run for the team.
I suppose most immediately you've got to find a fullback for next week, not even the tour we're talking of. So
well, he'll be playing next week.
He'll be playing, and then.
But I might play someone else there. You never know. Maybe move Izzy around, let him have a different run, different position for this game. But I think there'll be some other 13s that might bother you there. But we'll find the right solution as we come into the week, and try to maybe even use that as a bit of a preparation without giving too much away. Try and use it as a preparation for the tour going ahead.
You've got guys like Izzy Parisi who've done a lot of that backroom work, like a Jack Dempsey, and Dempsey's come in and had a really great crack. So are you excited to see someone like Parisi get this chance on the field?
He's definitely going to be getting a chance next weekend. He's a player who's really I've really enjoyed coaching, and he's still got a lot of improvement. We took him and Dempsey and also Kellaway as development players, Taniela Tupou on that last tour. And I think that they've come through. Taniela also playing very well. He'll qualify for Australia at some stage during the tour as well in November. So he's putting his hand up in there. And of course, you got guys coming back into the squad now like James Slipper, Ben McCalman, who we haven't had in the Wallaby family for a bit now because of injury, and they've worked hard to get back to playing again. So it'd be nice to have him back in the squad. And then a young fella like Liam Wright, who I think has stood out for mine in what I think has been an excellent Queensland country team in the NRC. They've really played well. You even saw their win yesterday in Fiji. It was outstanding, and there's a bit of edge to them. I think Brad's got them playing with a real edge, and I think Wright is going to be a welcome addition into the team, something different.
I was about to say Wright hasn't even played a Super Rugby game, so he obviously must be pretty impressed. Is just that out-and-out fetcher type role that impresses you?
I think he's got a little bit more to his game than just that. He looks like, I don't know close up, he looks like he runs the line out there. He's tall, so he's definitely got line out capability. He's a good line out operator, and he is a guy on the ground as well. Dempsey's playing with a little bit more of that. I think we don't need to go. We've had such a great tradition in Australia of the out-and-out fetcher, and I think maybe we went too far down that road and lost some of our ball carriers, and we've got to just get that right blend between being on the ground and carrying the ball in the air,
What are the emotions the morning after being overwhelmed with the support from fans?
Oh, mate, like I said last night, I'm really pleased, in particular for the fans. I'm not just saying that to get a tick next to the name, but if you saw it last night, saw it at the ground, how enjoyable the game is. Once and I know the result went for us, but just the ups and downs of the game, and that's what rugby's about. And to give them that type of enjoyment afterwards, and I'm very realistic, mate. It's one win. It was hard earned. Enjoy it for what it is, and then continue on with what we've got to do. We've got a huge tour coming up, big game this week, and I'm not saying that to try to pump it up. I'm saying that this is a huge game in the context of the opportunity for the players that are going to be playing. To show what they've got. There's guys there who have been busting to get out there, like Billy Meeks, Samu, who's only had small appearances off the bench, and who's one of our leaders, Alan Latoa, who started the year in the top spot there at tight end, and is trying to fight his place back, and I think a guy like Nick Phipps as well, who'll be front and centre in this game. I think that that there's going to be opportunities, and then we've still got the other young guys we brought in this week, so Falau Faianga, Duncan, PR as well, Jermaine Ainsley. So as we've said, we want to stay by building our depth over this the rest of this year, and we'll try and give those opportunities out to the guys this weekend. Sorry, mate. Yeah.
I was going to say, we've seen, and we talked about it briefly before, Wallaby's size in the past, improving as the rugby championship goes on. Obviously last night was a testament to that. When you think big picture about scheduling and planning before next year, before you take on the All Blacks, is that a practice game? Potentially on the card, would you do anything differently?
No, it's more about what we're doing with the guys from Super Rugby right now. I think that's where it all starts, and we're meeting again this Wednesday, all the coaches, to try to, finally sign off on a few things that we're all going to do together, without ever encroaching on the identity of all the teams. All the coaches have been excellent in their, approach and their openness to make that happen. So if we can just get a few things ticked off on Wednesday and start us off in collaborating, then I think, when players come back into camp or start their pre-season training if they're not in Wallabies, even, in December or whenever that might start, that's where it all starts. It starts there, and then we can move on from that.
Just with Falau having that break, has the squad known about that?
Yeah, I've spoken to the players. I know a lot of times you guys, look at the big name players, etc. But the one thing about rugby, and it'll never change, it's a team sport. No one player can, do anything without his teammates. And we believe that well and truly is the case in our team. And guys like Israel and the players who are of his ilk, who have got that little bit of X factor as well, they can put the icing on the cake sometimes for us. And I think we've also got for me, I've known him since he's come into rugby from the very start in 2013, I think it was, 2013. And like I said, he has not had a minute out of the spotlight for one reason or another, And, not only that, like all the other things that go with it from his own side, commercial stuff and sponsors and all that his own personal things. And sometimes, he's just still a young man, and he just time to have some time on your own, and get away from it. And I do think that will make him a better player, and I think it'll make us a better team in the end. We had to deal in games of the World Cup without him, right? And get us to be confident and making sure we've got a good plan when he's not there, because he's not going to be there all the time.
This is probably the least of your worries, but
it's nothing about the broadband, is it?
No. When fans hear this, are you worried they might go, oh my God?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so at all. I think fans will understand that look, if he took up, at the end of the day, if he took up the Japan part and the flexible contract, he wouldn't have been going on the tour anyway. So, for me, I think it's a really good win for us, you know what I mean? And, I think fans will be happy to see anyone who puts on that jersey do their absolute best in the games overseas. I think, the Japan game's going to be a huge one. They're a very, very tough outfit, especially at home there. You saw what they've been able to do in the World Cup. And then big fixtures, Welsh, our, I suppose, regular battle every time we go to Europe, and then the English, and then the Scottish, who put us to the sword here in Sydney. So there's really lots to play for, and a lot of our young fellas who haven't played in that environment as well. So I think it's all about making sure we keep our expectations real from the start about what we want to get, which is consistency, working hard, playing with the energy and enthusiasm that we need to get results, because it's all away games now. So you got to make sure you play with a certain amount of intensity that's going to keep the crowd at bay as well as the opposition.
When did you nut it out before? Exactly?
Yeah, a fair while ago.
Do you know?
No, not to the day or anything like that, but it's a couple of months now. Because he had to work out whether he was going to engage his contract, whether he was going to go looking for that extra piece overseas.
Okay. Is the actual clarification of those guys playing for spots virtually the same?
Oh, wait, spots on the tour or spots in the, how do you mean? Well, we put off, obviously, the selection of the tour to the Saturday night. We're not leaving till the Tuesday for Japan, so we've got that Tuesday night, so we've got that extra. So after the game on Saturday night, we'll finalise the touring squad. I think there's a few spots open. There's a few opportunities in this game. and you know, just there's been so much going on. It's almost been difficult to think about putting that touring team together. You know, with you know, we're the one team that doesn't have a break this weekend, so. You know, we've been planning for that, having you guys in to make sure we're ready for that load and how we're going to play it. So it's pretty much gone to plan of how we wanted it to, yeah, I suppose there's going to be definitely a couple of spots on the line when the game kicks off on Saturday.
Nick Farr-Jones said on Friday that he questioned whether the side had the mental toughness to beat the All Blacks compared to some previous teams. Is there anything you'd like to add in light of last night's result?
Oh, mate, like I've always said, everyone's allowed their opinion. You know what I mean? And I suppose it hurts a little bit to the players in the team when a former Australian captain casts doubt on players who wear the gold jersey. But like I said, if you know, I've got the maximum respect for Nick Farr-Jones, the captain of Australia, to World Cup. Like in a World Cup, and he's and the Grand Slam and all that type of stuff that he's achieved. You never hear us saying a bad word about our Wallabies who have achieved, you know, any of our ex-Wallabies or our classic Wallabies, and none who have achieved what he's achieved.
Michael, how did the team celebrate the victory last night?
Oh, mate, I don't know. I went to my room, to be honest. I was sort of a bit worn out afterwards. But I think what we did was, I think what is important to us, we came back here, all the players' families were here, and we just sat down very relaxed and, you know, shared some time together, which we do after all games, not just after winning. We always invite the families back to the hotel because they're the important people behind the players. You know, win, lose or draw, they're making sacrifices, the wives, the parents, the children, the brothers, the sisters, you know, and just for everyone to share a bit of time back here, which is what we did, was pretty good. You know, I wouldn't have been against some of the players who obviously have a time off next week, you know, getting out and relaxing a little bit at all, you know, but I think everyone had it pretty much in context too, you know. I think most of us were happy for the fans in particular. We've had a lot of support up here in Queensland, both on the coast and here in Brizzy, and you know, you saw the turnout that we had last night. It was excellent, even with the weather. You know, yes. I think it was 45 or 46,000, I don't know how many, and that's inspiring for us, you know what I mean? And there was a good sprinkling of All Black supporters as well, so it made it, you know, that makes the atmosphere of the game, and I suppose that's another part of what we want. We're looking to, as the national team, try to unite everyone in the code when we turn up to play, and that's the attitude we're hoping to get. No, he won't be out for the tour. He's come back from hospital last night. He had all the precautionary X-rays and scans which cleared him of any type of fracture, etc. And he's got a really sore neck, that's for sure. So I think that from what Nathan Gibbs is telling me, that, you know, I probably won't be able to throw him out there this week, but I reckon he should be okay for the Japan game.
When does Mario take off, and have you figured out what the short-term situation is with the scrum coach?
No, look, we're pretty comfortable where we are now. Dan came up for a session during the week, Dan Palmer, and I think he's going to come in and just shadow for Monday and Tuesday of this week as well, so we can have a look. We've got to get to sort of know each other as well and have a bit of time, and then after that we'll decide if he comes on the tour or if we just decide to go there ourselves under, you know, with the strategy that we know a lot of that detail, and then wait until after the tour. So he's got some of his other commitments there that we're looking at. Like I always said, whatever we do, we're just focusing on the tour. Obviously, I'm not looking to chop and change, not looking to bring someone and then bring someone else after the tour and all that. So I'll try and get some continuity, but we've had a good discussion about it, all the coaches, with Mario, and we're comfortable with, you know, managing the tour, either if Dan came along or just ourselves, and going through the right, I suppose, process, and taking the right time to appoint the next guy, because that's a really important combination for us going forward. Mario's done an outstanding job, and we want to make sure that we take what he's left us and we build on it.
Would you be more hands-on with the forwards stuff?
On the tour, for sure, I will be. Forwards probably won't like that, you know what I mean? But I will be on the tour whether Dan's coming or not, you know. So we'll just see how it plays out.
And Michael, next year, David Pocock will be the selection again. Is he going to have a a tough time just walking back into the team? Do you feel?
Yeah, look, you know, I'm still trying to take the wheels off Sean McMahon's plane before he goes to Japan. I'm not sure how, or I've tried to, you know, maybe cancel his ticket, hack the airline ticketing system so every flight he's on gets cancelled or something like that. But it's a chance for there's going to be competition regardless, you know, and that's what we've got to do. You know, getting David back's going to be really, really handy for us too. You know, not just from a playing point of view, but a leadership point of view. But then we've still got, if you look at it, we've still got, you know, obviously Slipper coming back now. McCalman, we'll see how he returns from experienced players. We've still got Dane Haylett-Petty, Sefa Naivalu, who have both, you know, had season enders. Hardwick, who played earlier this year, who's had a shoulder op. Tolilatu, who played with us, who had a shoulder op, will be back. So we're looking to try to build the depth around. We'll have those players coming back as well. And there's a few younger players. I think we've selected, like I said, Liam Wright. There's still a few younger players that I think can make a play to get into the squad before we start settling on a group that's going to head towards a World Cup.
James Slipper's had a couple of bouts from one of the serious injuries in Achilles. Is this just getting him back in the fold a little bit, or is this a serious potential audition?
Yeah, no, I think it's a serious audition for the tour. Like, you've got to give him some credit for the 87 tests he's already played. I think it is, you know, and he's only 28. And that type of experience, you know, in the Northern Hemisphere, they've had him on the training regime. He looks like he's put a few kgs on, no doubt. And I think it's an opportunity because he hasn't played a lot of footy this season. To, you know, he may not even have to play the game, you know, just to see him in camp and see where he's at, to see if we bring him on the tour, if we think he needs more of just a pre-season training and get himself right before he comes back into the fold.